And welcome back to A View in the Press Box here at M.M. Roberts Stadium. Southern Miss spring football bonus episode for you guys. A view from the press box. I hope I just said that right. Yes, because people are calling me out. A view from the press box.
It's from and in.
It's both of them. But we're not in the press box right now. We just came down from the press box. That's Glyn Dyar with 247 Sports. I'm Dima Mixon with the Pine Belt News. As always, we just got through watching Glyn about an hour or so of real football. I mean, this wasn't silly football. This wasn't flag football. This was hitting with, a part of depth that we haven't seen in a while. And I guess overall, what were your first thoughts after watching that?
Just considering that there's so many new players, new schemes, new coaches. I thought they were really efficient. There weren't any penalties, no fumbles, no interceptions. It was clean. Guys knew what they were doing, knew the plays, got in and out. From a first scrimmage in that scenario, that's a plus.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one thing that it was kind of a lot, like almost significantly better than what I expected coming in, which wasn't anything against the team. It's just I thought that so much new. You're gonna have a lot of false starts, a lot of holdings. Now, granted, maybe the referees weren't calling it. And I tried to ask Blake Anderson that, but it just felt to me pretty clean, which was just kind of surprising, honestly.
Well, and well organized and well run. Guys got in and out of there. There were no delay games.
Yeah.
They ran a lot of tempo too. So
yeah, a lot of tempo. Quarterbacks, all three of the quarterbacks who are up for this job, all of them went obviously probably around the same amount of throws.
With the ones.
Yeah, with the ones. Hampton with 17 throws, Liddy with 18, and John White with 18. I'll read off the stats and then just get your overall thoughts on the three. Hampton 15 for 17, 83 yards. Liddy 13 for 18 for 120 yards, and John White 13 for 18, 119 yards and 1 touchdown. Just overall thoughts on the quarterbacks.
Because I've seen John before, I've seen John since high school, but I was so impressed. He's entered himself into a real contender in this quarterback race because he went and strengthened his arms.
Yeah.
There were throws he couldn't make last year. And like Coach Anderson has said, and this the way we spread out, if you can't make that throw across the hash to the other side of the field, you're not going to be functional in this offense, and he couldn't do that last year. He had no issue with that today. Can't wait to ask him what he did, because physically he looks the same, but the arm strength's much better. I thought his ball placement and his accuracy is always top shelf, like he always was. He went through his progressions, didn't see his third sometimes and checked it down. I just thought he's really efficient and very cool out there.
No, I agree. I was most encouraged by John White, and it's really not. I think he was probably the best I've seen him here at Southern Miss. I didn't even think it was close. And, we've heard from Blake Anderson a couple times about him strengthening that arm, and we've seen some flashes of it so far in spring ball, but nothing like this where you have 11 on 11 and trying to pinpoint ball placements in certain areas. And he did it. And like you said, far side of the field sometimes he would, go through his progressions and then check it down to the tight end, check it down to the running back, which I thought all three quarterbacks did a phenomenal job of that, by the way. There was a lot of times where, third down, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, whatever it was, and, your outside receivers weren't there and they checked it down. Yep. I thought Hampton looked good, for what you got out from Illinois. He has a really good arm. He overthrew some balls today.
Yeah, big deep ball arms.
Big deep ball. Overthrew some balls, but I think that kind of what separates him from White, that White might not necessarily have that accuracy in those deep balls. And then to me, I think the worst out of the three that looked today was Landry Liddy.
Yeah, I agree. And and to Ethan too, some of those deep balls that look like overthrows. We had referees here that just were not going to call pass interference.
Yeah.
One time he had number 3 down the sideline for a touchdown, and the cornerback just totally reeled him in.
Yeah.
And I thought it was for sure going to be it was going to be a 45-yard touchdown pass.
And you're going to hear a lot of number 3s, number 18s, because we're still trying to learn this roster.
Oh my gosh.
You're going to have to give us some breaks. That's what Glenn's here right now looking at numbers.
Yeah, number 3, MJ Johnson from Northwest Community College. So yeah,
you're going to have to give us some grace. We're still trying to learn this roster. There's 68, 80 new players on this roster.
Right.
So some of it is kind of looking down, going like, oh, who was that? Glyn, a big question coming into spring, both lines.
Oh yeah.
And I personally thought the offensive line, for what you got, now I don't think they have a 3 deep offensive line. I think you really have maybe 1.5. as far as who you really want out there. So depth is a question. But the first team offensive line, I thought they got some push.
Yeah, and also, they rotated 10 guys in and out of the 1s and 2s who were mix and match, particularly at the tackle spots. They got some young tackles, and they're probably more athletic at tackle than they were last year, but one's a redshirt freshman, and the other is a guy that's, never started a game. So these guys are young and athletic. They got some bend to them, but they need reps.
Yeah.
We're definitely bigger inside, a lot more physical inside, and that showed. We ran the ball between the tackles very well today. Today we ran inside zone, and we were very efficient inside. The D line held up pretty well for the first half of the scrimmage. There was 2-yard runs, 3-yard runs, but then in the second half, that big old line started leaning on those guys and warmed down. Then you saw 12-yard runs, 24-yard runs.
Yeah.
Go ahead and reel off number 24's stats. He really stood out to me. His name's Steven Johnson. 5'8", about 205 pounds from Coffeyville Community College.
Eight carries, 103 yards, and a touchdown. Robert Briggs, who's more than likely their starting running back, number 2, went nine carries, 53 yards. But they really rotated a lot of running backs today. We saw a lot of guys run. I really like that room. I mean, for what they got, I don't think it's like a lot of big, lower your shoulders types guys, but they kind of just cut those gaps a little bit.
I think they got a little more. They got more burst than they had last year.
That's right.
When I was talking about Steven Johnson, he has a body similar to Pittman's from last year, but he has a lot more suddenness and long speed.
Because Pittman, I always compared him to like a bowling ball, where he would kind of just claps in those shoulders and then just kind of barrel his way
just didn't have
for about 7. But he could never. You would never see those long runs from him because he just couldn't burst through the holes.
Didn't have another gear.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you got in this running back room. The defense to me was probably the biggest question mark, and that's been the biggest question mark for me all of spring. You have a brand new almost every area in defense. I thought the defensive line was pushed around a good bit by the offensive line. I thought the linebackers did not tackle well. I didn't think the cornerbacks were very good. I saw a lot of pass interferences that weren't called. I mean, I just thought overall the defense didn't have a great day. And I know sometimes it's teetered towards the offense, especially in spring.
Yeah, they're ahead.
Right, and tackling isn't going to be perfect. It's not what it's going to be like in fall. But I just thought overall the defense didn't have a great day.
Yeah, and I think the defense is the group that has the longest to come in this situation.
Right.
Where nobody returning in that too deep. So yeah, you're going to have to find 22 new guys.
It just didn't seem to me that there's a lot of length on those corners. They're just kind of small, and then the defensive line and linebackers are almost interchangeable in their size. So that to me is pretty. It's just that just kind of. Normally, that's not a good situation to walk into.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of length along the defensive line either. A lot of 6 foot, 300-pound guys. I mean, they only had so much time to put together a humongous roster. So there may be some deficiencies you have to hide there. It's still too early to tell, but those guys got worn down in the second half of this thing. So the front 7, could be an issue going forward, but it's just so early. It's not even really much of a conversation right now. We see how they develop.
Right.
I thought they did themselves some favors with the safeties. The Pride kid from Texas A&M looks like a legit guy, 6'1", about 210. He came downhill and popped some guys. Safety from transfer here from Kansas. He looked like a good football player, about 6'2", 210 pounds.
It's just funny that
I know
this is exactly what we have to do.
I used to could reel this off.
And it's nothing against, I think, us. I mean, it's just the truth that all these guys are new, and you're just trying to. I think Blake's kind of doing this.
Yeah.
And he obviously knows who the players are now that he's been around them. But I mean, you could say that a week ago,
Laquan Robinson is who I was referring to. Transfer out from Kansas, big physical safety, look big. P4 looking safeties. No, and they did themselves some favor in the portal with their safeties.
I like the secondary a little bit, much better than the cornerbacks. It's just there's just not a lot of. The thing is, I worry about is depth, and I know it's early, but it is early. But it's just that's the only thing I'm concerned about with the defense. On the offensive side, the skill positions, your wide receivers, Davis Dalton back today. Anderson said that he had some kind of hamstring issue to start off spring practice, which is just like, what else?
Yeah, bless his heart, he's had a hamstring issue for 24 months.
Yeah, and so, but he was out there today, and I thought he was really good. And I didn't take, I do have his stats, but I didn't take them for this show. But if you want to go to Glyn's site and my site, you'll be able to see that in our stories, what his stats were, because I'm going to add them all up. But I mean, Glyn, he had a really nice catch on the sideline, contested catch from the ball from Landry Liddy. I thought he did some things with his feet, when he would catch the ball, plant his feet.
A little more than you expect from him.
Right, and he's kind of going to have to be their outside guy because they don't have a lot of length out there.
There are a lot of 5'10", 6-foot guys out there, and Davis is really the only length they have right now until they get the Page kid back that transferred in from.
And he's on crutches, right?
No, he was just in a red shirt on the sideline. He brings him a 6'3" guy, but he was a Utah State guy under Blake over there. So he's familiar with the offense when he gets back. That'll give him a 6'3" and 2 6'3" guys. But Yeah, Davis does what Davis does. Got great hands, strong hands, gets good position on the fends off those smaller DBs with his big body.
Right.
If he could just stay healthy, he could be a really good guy for them. If anything, a really a guy you can count on as a possession guy out wide.
Right.
And he's got sneaky speed down there too, and he adjusts the ball so well, has the vertical, so he can beat you down in the red zone too. So it was nice to see him have the kind of day he had. But yeah, I labeled these guys when I wrote the story last week, the smaller guys they brought in, the pocket rockets.
Yeah.
Those guys were efficient today. I mean, you don't know who they were playing against. You don't know what that defense is going to look like. But, I mean, like I said to Coach, I said pitch and catch was good. It was very efficient. No drop balls. Everything was
interceptions.
No interceptions.
I think you had a couple drops, but, I mean, it was just kind of tough plays.
Bad ball plays.
Right, it wasn't. I didn't think it was on the receivers. And like we said, some of these stats were kind of dwarfed a little bit because there was a couple of pass interference calls that should have been made.
Right.
They go down as an incompletion. But okay, so if you had to say, coming out of this scrimmage, your most encouraging thing that you saw, and maybe the thing that you're a little bit worried about after watching them today, give me those two answers. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, but the biggest worry, and this was the worry I had before we even came out here, is our front seven. I'm not sure we had two fantastic linebackers last year, and we had some size.
100-plus tackle linebackers.
Yeah, both of them. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
And we had a D-line with a little length, a little girth, and we had some speed off the edges. I'm not sure how much of any of that we have right now. Time will tell. They're going to have to be one of those blue-collar units that just, and they're going to have to find, obviously, depth. And just tell guys to go as hard as they can and play as hard as they can, but they may have to protect them a little bit. I would worry a little bit if we had to play a Texas State again, where they just got up there and smashed you inside.
Got up in the box and
Yep.
I would say the same. To me, probably the most thing I'm probably going to be looking forward to seeing some improvement is that secondary, just because there was times where I just thought that they were getting beat and just kind of a little slow on some issues, some slow on some tunnel screens, but there was times they flashed too, like Lynn was saying. Most encouraging thing you saw?
I just like those smaller receivers. They're small, but they're fast. They got great ball skills. They run good routes. The kid that blew up today was Jalen Himes. He's only 5'9", 180, but he's from Wingate, Division II Wingate. And last year at Wingate, he caught like 74 balls for 1,300 yards. I mean, the kid's he's a ball player.
Yeah,
he can play at this level.
I'm going to go back to what we were saying about the quarterbacks. I really thought the most encouraging part of today was John White, because
he was impressive.
And John White I think everybody around here wants him to be good, right? Because he's a Mississippi kid. Came to Hattiesburg. You got him here.
All-time leading passer,
right? And he's just been kind of just like in the background of the program. But he wasn't ever going to beat out Braylon Braxton. No. But I just hesitated to say that maybe he was going to be a factor in this quarterback race. But, I mean, I thought today he kind of put his foot forward and is like, listen, I'm not going down without a fight, almost, is how I felt.
Yeah, John's accurate, has great ball placement, is heady, he's tough. He's one of the smartest guys in the quarterback room, but he's always been that since high school.
Just his arm strength.
He fixed the one, he's not a tall guy. He'll always have to work around that, but the element that was holding him back as a Division I quarterback was his arm strength, and he's apparently fixed that. Look, the ball coming out of there, he's not trying to muscle up on it. It's flying out of his hands. He's spinning it well. I can't wait to ask him what he did to improve that. He looks like a different guy in terms of the ability to zip the ball across the field.
For sure. Well, there was a lot to take away, for sure. There's no doubt about that. And we got to see it all. And like we said, that you can go read our stories and stuff. Glenn's going to have some write-up on his site on 247 Sports, goldeneaglepride.com. I'll get a write-up on our site at Pine Belt News, HubCitySpokes.com. Baseball's in action right now against Old Dominion. We just watched up in the press box, watching the scrimmage, about a 30-minute intervention with the umpiring crew. But last we checked, it's about 4-0 right now, Southern Miss. So, before we started this video, it was 4-0. So, looks like Southern Miss was able to get out to a good start. And Glenn, I mean, I think that's good for them to try to see some balls hit, because Gillespie had a homer, but other than that, it just seemed like a lot of singles and doubles, which is what you want.
That's a bit.
I know it's a baseball. I know we're going into baseball, but it's just important.
Yeah, but to see it early is big too.
Right.
To start establishing that confidence early. You don't want to get down late and be in that same position again where you're going, oh, here we go again.
Right.
So that was good to see. Maybe they'll quit pressing so much.
For sure. But yeah, so we'll have a baseball recap. I don't know if we're going to do one Saturday because of Easter, so we'll probably see you guys next week. Hopefully we get to talk to the coordinators next week as well, too. That's something that,
Monday.
We're hoping to get to, and we'll obviously have all that out for you guys. But that was just kind of our instant thoughts, kind of just quick thoughts after watching about an hour and a half of this team. First time we get to see it where you're getting to see full 11 on 11 for an hour. I mean, that was awesome to see, and just kind of where they're going to put guys. We'll have Glyn and me will both have 2 days and stuff.
Hopefully over the next 2 weeks we'll learn 80 names.
Yeah, I know. And by the end of spring, our last spring, after the spring game, this podcast, we will know the names.
Yeah, I hope so.
We will not have the roster. No, I will definitely have the roster. But we thank you guys for watching. We appreciate, again, all of you who say you enjoy the show, you like the show. We love to hear that.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
We do like that. So that's Glyn Dyar, goldeneaglepride.com. Please go subscribe to his stuff. It's just amazing, and it's not expensive. It's like a coffee a month. I mean, it's really not for you to get just tremendous coverage from Glyn.
I think it's $5.32 a month.
Right, that's a coffee. I mean, for me, I don't drink coffee, and that's a smoothie. So I can give up a smoothie to read Glyn's great stuff. And you can come follow us, Pine Belt News, HubCitySpokes.com, $35 a year to get that to your doorstep, and we would appreciate if you'd subscribe to that. So for now, that's Glyn Dyar with 247 Sports. I'm Dima Mixon, and that was A View from the Press.